Parents across the country are asking school districts to stop putting their kids in ESL or English as a second language classes. Families are worried the programs could take away from their educational experience and erase some of their cultural heritage. So let's get out to national correspondent Axel Tercios, who's been talking with some of those concerned parents. Good morning, Axel.
Good morning, Alex. The parents that I've spoke with are telling me that schools around the nation are placing the children in the wrong programs, classes that are meant for children who do not speak English. They also told me that they think the school systems are targeting these children just because they're bilingual. Almost 5 million students in the United States are learning English as a second language. But while the program, known as ESL, has helped millions of children transition to life in the U.S., some families say their children have been incorrectly placed. For these three mothers, one simple question on a school registration form put their families through years of stress as they struggle to deal with English as a second language proficiency standards.
One of the questions on there was whether a language other than English was spoken in the home. At the time, my parents were visiting, and what's nice about my parents visiting is my children get to hear a lot of our native tongue, which is Bengali. And I said, yes, another language is spoken in the home. As I handed it back, I thought, oh no, I did the wrong thing. They're going to think he's an English language learner. And I asked the clerk for the form back. And she said, no, once you've answered it, we're done. So I immediately knew we were about to enter some rabbit hole.
Tesha Sengupta Irving's then 4-year-old son, Naveen, had to take an English proficiency test at his school in California.
They asked him questions like, what's the right punctuation at the end of a sentence? My son couldn't really read at that point, let alone know what kind of punctuation went at the end of the sentence. In other words, there's no way for a child who's probably even English fluent to be able to pass this exam.
When the California Department of Education administered that same proficiency test to kids from English-speaking homes, 75% failed. Lisa Garcia Bedoya's daughter, a fluent English speaker, was required to take the test, all because she noted a second language was spoken in their home.
She's a third-generation Latina in California whose family happens to have Spanish in the home. Having another language in the home by the staff leadership in the district was interpreted as by definition being deficient in English. That you can't have both. You can't actually be bilingual in their framing.
Because they've been categorized as non-English fluent, they're not allowed to even get into advanced math, even though it's math. So that prevents them from then taking advanced math in high school, and that might prevent them from getting into a specific college.
Carol Lloyd from the nonprofit education organization Great Schools says kids who are placed in the wrong school programs are silently tracked away from advanced learning.
That can have a long-term implication about their career and their trajectory without the parents actually knowing it.
The situation is not isolated to California. Betty Serrato in New York City is frustrated too.
I think it's based to racial profiling because he spoke English from 3 years old.
When Serrato's son Mikey didn't pass that English proficiency test, it flagged him even though his entire family speaks English fluently.
I would get pulled out of classes and it would affect my learning from that class also. And sometimes, I had to get the notes from other classmates, and it's not the same experience as having a teacher there.
I think the school should change the way they do the test, because they start doing some 4 or 5 years old, and it's too hard for the kids.
Carol, why is this happening?
It's a sort of discrimination against kids who come from other countries and low expectations, assuming that they can't do as much, assuming that they might not be as smart. So it could be a form of racism.
Mirza Sanchez Medina from the New York City Education Department says the assessment is fair.
All students, regardless of race or language, are offered this opportunity. It's not about their ethnicity or their race. It's about the language component.
Here in New York City, the nation's largest school system, students who need support in English are classified as English language learners. If the parents believe their child was misplaced in the program, they get a window of time to appeal the decision.
The screening process is to eliminate that, where we're asking the questions and looking at student work and ensuring that we have the correct placement for that child.
However, Serrato says her concerns were not heard.
My son, they keep him until 5th grade, and I went to the school and I speak to the teachers to make changes, but they never changed it. They wait until 5th grade.
In Florida, the state's second largest school district uses a similar system.
The moment a parent checks off yes to any of those 3 questions, it's almost like a little red flag for the school to screen the student for English.
But some parents are interpreting that so-called red flag as stereotyping.
Do you think these decisions are made because of ethnicity and background and racial background?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's based on the 3 questions. That's it.
About 260,000 students attend Broward County Public Schools. Out of that number, over 30,000 kids are part of the ESL program.
Advocates say parents should be careful if their children speak English fluently.
You might be very proud that your family speaks Spanish at home or your family speaks Chinese at home, but it's probably a better idea. If your child is fluent already, just say the whole family is English speaking.
But parents say they should not have to lie about their true identity and that it should be up to the schools to create a system that is fair to all students.
We should be celebrating that people have 2 languages in the home, and that just because you do doesn't mean you speak English less well than a native speaker who only speaks English.
So, Axel, we know that your family also went through this experience too. So can you tell us a little bit about that and how that impacted you?
Yes, Alex, I went through the same program. It actually helped me because I learned English. When I came to the U.S., I was 13 and my sister was 3. We came from Honduras. By the time she was 5, she already spoke English, and yet she was placed in the program. But it was until she was in 4th grade that my mom was able to get her out of the program after going to the school several times and talking to the teachers and principal. After that, my sister had to take a new English placement test, and then she was finally removed from the ESL program. Alex.
Man, it sounds like it takes so much effort to get them off once you are on that list. All right, Axel, thank you for joining us.